guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike.
I am Jay.
And we have seen Halloween Ends.
It was a dark, dark night on the collective soul. I was somewhere out on Regal seeing this movie. But no, I'll tell you what. Wow.
Things have changed.
Yes, I didn't expect a finger in the butt on the first date there, Mr. Jefferson, but you gave it to me.
So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking, let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS, cause Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, yeah.
I didn't know, Mike was telling me when I got here, because we literally just saw the movie like an hour ago, that there is a lot of vitriol already going around and hatred for this movie. Now, I got to be honest with you, this movie is not my favorite movie by far at all of the Halloween franchise, but as a movie itself, as far as a movie that completes this trilogy, I didn't hate it as much as everybody else, I suppose, and maybe I'm just a dumb cracker.
Why you gotta bring race into it,
Because I watched Fox News last night. No, I'm kidding. And CNN too. But no, it's just one of those things. Like I watched it. Listen, there was a fuck ton of problems with it. I mean, it is not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination. There are things that I would have done differently. There are things that Mike would have done differently. There are things that your mom would have cooked you, and there are things that your dad would have fucked you.
I hate you, Dad.
What? I mean, cooked you. But listen, that's the thing. Everyone's going to have their ideal version of what Michael should be and how it should have ended. And we definitely had discussions before, leading up to this film's release, about the endings that we wanted. I didn't get the ending that I wanted, but at the same time, I feel like overall as a package deal, and you got to look at it, I have to look at it as a trilogy alone. It's not, I told Mike, it's not my Michael, but it's a storyline ending to that Michael. Mm-hmm. So, and the cool thing about the Halloween franchise is there's so many different storylines. You know what I mean? So if this isn't your cup of tea, they're not going to be done with Michael, like not even close. Like there's going to be another Halloween movie that'll go in a different direction. But just like some people's Batman is Tim Burton's Batman, and some people's are Christopher Nolan's Batman, this, it's the same thing for me. This is not necessarily my Michael Myers, but
that's my biggest thing, man, is I think that if you go into this movie, right, and I think a lot of people whose reactions you will hear will be people who are not like hardcore into the franchise and don't really understand some of the nuances that this will continue.
You racist dog.
That I think a lot of people think it's called Halloween Ends. It's the end of this trilogy. This is the trilogy they know. I think when you look at this, if I was looking at this, if I watched this movie and I really believed that this was the Michael Myers, the only Michael Myers, the quintessential end of the whole story of Michael Myers, I would be upset.
Yeah,
I would be upset. Because there's things I would have done differently. There's a million things I would have done differently. But I feel that way about 2018. I feel that way about Kills, and more so than any of them, I feel that way about this one as far as story points and decisions go. But when you realize, when you go into this and you know that this is not actually the end of this story, this is just the end of this version of this story, because Michael Myers and Halloween has become James Bond. It has become Batman. It's no longer linear, and they're gonna do different crazy things with it. So when you know that,
I gotta say, linear. Linear sounds like a French champagne.
Linear. You know what?
Like if you say,
I ate the ice cream in the fridge.
I got those Laniers from fucking J.C. Penney.
I was gonna tell you this, but I ate your fucking ice cream.
I don't give a shit.
Right?
Fuck it.
I ate
poison in it.
Fuck you. My point is that as a standalone movie, the way I feel about this movie coming out, my exact reaction was two things. A, that was punk as fuck, and I kind of loved it. And B, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Because there is... this is not the way I would want the official Michael Myers story to end at all. There's certain story things that they did with the end of this film and how they handle it that I definitely would not want to be the end of the Michael Myers saga. But as far as this trilogy and this specific story, and by the way, you could even say that it's not the perfect ending to this trilogy either. This trilogy, even as a standalone thing, could have had a way more well-oiled machine in things and wrap them up better.
Yeah.
But that being said, as a standalone movie, almost if you look at it as a what if, version of Michael Myers. You know, like Marvel does the what if stories and stuff like that. They took some fucking swings. They did some ballsy things. Some of them I liked. Some of them I did not. My biggest problem, actually, some of the things I feared they were going to do, they did. And I actually found myself enjoying the shit out of some of the things I never thought I'd enjoy the shit out of.
Yeah.
Because the movie was so entertaining while I was watching it, and so many more questions raised and so many little wrinkles added to Michael Myers lore and possibilities added in the story of Michael Myers. That shit I absolutely loved, and I found myself fucking enthralled with it. That being said, by the very end of the film, there was tiny little execution things. My only actual real problems with just this film alone are execution things. Certain scenes that happened, it's not what they did, it's how they did it, and I would have done it so differently. But overall, I fucking enjoyed myself, man. I did.
Hey, man, let me do some talking. Damn.
Go ahead.
Fuck.
Tell the world how you feel. Where did it touch you?
The movie's all right.
Here?
Don't.
Here?
Yes.
Oh.
God, it felt good though. Go back. No, you know what? I agree. I agree that this is not the best ending for this trilogy, but from where they started it with Halloween 2018 and how they ultimately wound up going with this film, I feel like it was serviceable. I mean, I get what they were going for, but I think that's where my problems lie within this movie is that I had a very I was like, I assure you that we're open kind of moment that they were gonna go for. Like I thought, I was like, this is really out there, but I'll go with it. All right, I'll hold your hand and we're gonna go and see the poppy leaves together. And then they said, no, fuck you, and they left me. They left me in the poppy leaf field because at the end, I did not like the end of this movie. The end of this movie, and again, I don't want to. This is a non-spoiler review, so we're not going to give anything away. I feel like the way this movie ended was very unceremonious. I didn't like how they treated certain characters, and I didn't like how certain storylines were finished. I feel like it was weak sauce. I didn't feel like it was strong enough. And again, in my opinion only, this is just my opinion, so you guys can agree and disagree with it. That's no problem whatsoever. But for a character and for a franchise and for meaning and not for a character like Michael Myers and a franchise like Halloween and a character like Laurie Strode, I feel like there should have been some goddamn fireworks and caramel titties. Like, it should have just been crazy. It should have been epic. And what we got essentially was some start of an epic ride, and then you get to the top and everybody's eating fucking ice cream. And you're like, I thought we were going to a fucking...
Where the fuck did we get ice cream?
I was like, well, I thought we were going to a party, though. It's like, we did go to a party. It was at Chuck E. Cheese, bitch. And I was like, oh, so there's no alcohol. Nope. Well, there is, but there's around a bunch of kids. I was like, oh, well. Anyhow, I have problems with the movies for sure, but I don't think it's a terrible movie by any stretch of the imagination. There are quite a few other bad movies in the franchise of Halloween by far that will outrank this. I mean, just to name a couple off the top of my head is Halloween Rob Zombies 2. I think it's trash. We talked about that before. Resurrection is pure dog shit trash. And then even Halloween 5 is like, I stepped in some dog shit and now I have to get into a freshly cleaned car. Trash. So there are movies worse than this, and I'm not saying well, damn, you're only going to compare it to those. I feel like it's on the level of some other good movies. And again, they start with a really good premise. I think they come up with a really good idea that ultimately it just fizzles out for whatever reason. I don't know why they didn't go all the way with it, because I literally thought it was going to go, and I'm like, I never thought about it like that. I was like, it could work that way. Mm-hmm. And then it just ultimately doesn't do that. And then it's like, I don't know. There's one scene specifically, and I was like, what the fuck? There's one scene in the sewer, and I was like, what the fuck? I really was. I was like, no, you ain't doing daddy that way. You ain't doing daddy that way, all right?
But it's surprising, and I know you agree with me on a couple of things. Like I said earlier, there's a couple of things that we were worried they were going to do, and then they did them, and then I was watching, I went, that's actually pretty fucking cool. Like one scene specifically that we were talking about, and by the way, make sure you guys are subscribed and all that stuff. We're going to have a deep spoiler review, and then we're also going to talk all the spoilers with you guys Monday night during a live stream. And we're also going to talk to one of the writers of this movie, Paul Brad Logan.
Wow.
And that we're going to dig in deeper. But
wow, who else?
Your
Van
dad!
Halen. No, it's like Van Halen. Who else?
Old man carving canoe out of wood.
Oh.
But no, so there were certain things I was really scared they were going to do, and then they did. And I was like, that's kind of fucking rad. Again, my favorite part about this movie is that it's kind of punk as fuck in that they will do things, and they will go there, and they will take risks, and it's fun to watch. Ultimately, and we will wrap this up very soon because, again, I just want to keep it very, very simple. I think what happened here, as the end of a story that we've seen 2 movies from, I guess technically 3, as the end of a story wrapping up this trilogy, they did very messy things. There was a couple scenes, the execution of the scenes I felt should have lasted a little bit longer, should have been more
Poignant.
glorious.
Poignant,
yeah. And there's a couple scenes that I definitely would have done differently. There's choices I would have made differently. But as a one-off, so it's if you're really hinging your hopes on this wrapping things up in a perfect way, or you're hinging your hopes especially on if this was the end of Michael Myers' story, I feel like it does fail in that aspect. But as a standalone movie that is interesting as fuck to watch and entertaining to watch and raises some new questions about Michael Myers and about the whole story and does some things with the characters, almost like a fever dream Michael Myers story, it was great. And the difference between those 2 things is when you look at a movie like Rob Zombie's H2, a lot of people will compare it to that as far as the divisiveness and things like that. Rob Zombie's H2 did some interesting things, yes, and it had some cool scenes. The problem with that movie is it shit on the legacy of the characters and it changed them all and none of it made sense.
Yeah.
To me, in this movie, it still respected its characters. It still respected them. And it was just a bold goddamn movie. Like, it was entertaining as fuck to watch. And I saw things I never thought I would want to see and I enjoyed them. And we will get into all that in the spoilers. But dude, at the end of the day, for me right now, this movie, and by the way, this is one of those movies that will change upon rewatch. You will rewatch this so many times, and there's certain stuff that's really messy, and then when you look back in the franchise, you're like, that doesn't make sense because of what happened in Kills. That doesn't make sense because of what happened here. There's little stuff that will change, but just overall, at the end of the day, it's a strong 7.5 for me as a standalone Myers movie. It's a strong 7.5. And that could change. That could go up. It could go down.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. Mine's going to be a bold and strong 6.5. I feel like it is a serviceable movie. I didn't hate this movie. I don't agree with I don't even have Twitter and shit, but what Mike was telling me, all this hatred that's coming out, I don't agree with any of that. I don't think it's that bad of a movie. Do I personally think it's an amazing movie? Fuck no, it's not. It's not even close to being a perfect Halloween movie. But it's fun. I didn't have necessarily... You know what it felt like? I felt like I had great sex, but I paid for it. That's how I feel when I left the theater. I had great sex, but I paid for it.
A feeling you're familiar with.
Yes, multiple times. Like, how do you think I lost my virginity? She was a real life slut, and I married her. Anyhow, let's not get into personal things here. But that's how I felt.
I paid in blood.
I feel like that's how it is. I feel, yeah, I did. I paid in blood and goddamn my house and my car and my fucking life and my dignity. She took everything. Anyway, so
even your Stephen King books.
She did take my Stephen King books. That fucking cunt. But anyhow. And my Star Wars books. But anyhow, I do. I feel like that's how it felt me. I did not feel like I was loved by the stripper that I was tipping money to and that she was giving me a lot of attention at this club. So I had fun with a lot of lights and glam and you could drink and you saw titties and you could tip those titties. But when you're like, hey, can I get your number? She's like, fuck off, bitch. Like, I'm gay. I'm like, what? Anyhow, but
if it helps.
I feel like the movie, it is not the worst movie I've ever seen of the Halloween movies. It is not close to that. I feel like it starts strong. It has a good premise about it. I think that they are going for something that's going to be truly cool and different, and I was on board with it. It was kind of... Cast that spell! I was kind of like a little scared of it, but I was like, all right, I'm going to go with you, and then it just fizzles away. And I think the ending is to me, it's the worst part. I don't like the ending at all. I feel like the ending just... You know, and I can't say what I want to say because I don't want to spoil the movie for you. But I would just say unceremonious. That's all I can feel. Like everything, 40 years, I just feel like unceremonious.
Yeah.
But, you know, that is what it is. So 6.5 for me, 7.5 for Mike. But it is a still strong movie. And you know what? By the way, if you liked Halloween 2018 and you liked Halloween Kills, or even kind of liked Halloween Kills, go see this movie because it does wrap that trilogy up at least partially. They do a good job within the context of their movie.
I feel like if it's very important to you that the story of 2018 and Kills ends with what feels like a fitting into that, you're going to be upset. But I just think that And again, by the way, also Corey, the character of Corey, I loved him. I thought he was great. He had a young Jake Gyllenhaal feel to me.
I thought he looked more like that dude from Kick-Ass. That's just me.
he did, yeah. Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, yeah.
But I actually like I think a lot of your feelings about this are going to hinge on whether you like that character or not. But I liked him a lot. I thought he brought a new layer to the movie. Fucking Andy Batichak crushed it. I thought she was amazing. I thought the things that they did with the characters, for the most part, were good. And also, I feel like it's an entertaining movie, and it's fun, and it's got stuff that like you're not sure you would want, but when you see it, you're like, I'm okay with that, because as long as in your brain you realize that this is just one movie, this is not where we're going to take the franchise forever and all that. I feel like they had a fun time with that. There's little callbacks to other stuff that you'll enjoy, that I enjoyed a lot. And there
actually was subtle things too. Mm-hmm. Like when I was watching it, and a hardcore Halloween fan will notice it. I had to tell my wife that was watching with me. I was like, "Oh, that's that shit from Halloween 5." Like, I mean, that movie sucks. I don't know. That's like admitting that you had an STD if you put that in your movie. But there was, well, at least I thought it was. There's one girl wearing a costume that is very reminiscent of the devil costume in Halloween 5. Yeah. And I was like,
and stuff like that, and it's stuff that we can't get into, obviously. But the kills, I thought were great. I thought the kills were great. There's one scene that is just wild. There is some really cool, gory kills. I do feel like they cut away from a couple kills way too soon.
I do 100.
That was too much off screen.
And I was like, what the fuck? Because I was like, I felt like I was watching Law and Crime Network when you want to see a police shootout and shit, and they cut it out. You're like, what? I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Where did it go? And they're like, oh, for the uncensored version, go to Twitter.
One thing I will renege on, by the way, is I've seen a lot of people say that the movie is boring, and I've seen a lot of people say that there's not enough Michael in the movie. Now, that second one depends on how you feel when you watch the movie. For me, I felt Michael's presence, even when it wasn't on screen. I felt his presence the entire time.
It's like being in church. I feel Jesus all around.
Exactly.
I mean, he's always there.
I did not. I watched this, and me and Jay we're not there for Laurie. Like, that's just how we watch it. We're there for fucking Michael.
I was waiting on my father to show up.
we appreciate Laurie, but we're there for Michael. So I can tell you that from my personal experience, I felt his presence there the whole time. I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff they did with him and the ride that they took his character on. I thought that the execution of some of the stuff they did was a little bit weak sauce. I felt like some stuff should be expanded on. Some stuff should be done with more grandiose. But overall, I felt like there was enough Michael Myers in this. And I thought that the kills were excellent, even if I think there's going to be a lot in the deleted scenes in the cutting room floor.
I think so too. But here's the thing. It's a solid movie, man. It's not a bad movie, and and I think that if you go in and you watch the movie on Peacock or wherever you're going to watch it, and you have an open mind, and you relegate it to this, okay? You relegate it to the fact that if you can watch Tim Burton's Batman, and that's Tim Burton's Batman, right? And the way they end it with Batman Returns, and that's it. I mean, and of course they did it with Schumacher, but just forget that. Just say Tim Burton's Batman. And then you watch Christian Bale's Batman, and you watch Batman Begins to The Dark Knight Rises, right? They wrap it up. But that is a separate story from the Ben Affleck Batman that takes over with Zack Snyder. There's always going to be different versions, and you can have your favorite of those versions. This is not my necessarily. I think that James Giacordi is a killer Michael Myers, and I think he is. I think in Halloween 2018, he's one of the best Michael Myers I've ever fucking seen on screen.
He was awesome in this.
Yeah, but there are people that'll say Tyler Maine's the best one, or Nick Castle's the best one, or George Wilbur's the best one. I mean, but at the end of the day, there's so many different storylines of Michael. This is not the end of Michael for sure, but this movie itself, as a trilogy, if you look at it as one whole thing and you look at it in that perspective, in that lens, I think they did a decent enough job wrapping it up. Now, that's not going to be popular with everybody, and it never will be, but I didn't have a problem watching it. To me, it was just fucking, dude, I'll be honest with you, and I'm very easy to please. I mean, that's why I have the same hooker I go to. Not my wife.
He comes fast.
Oh my God. Anyway,
I can tell you from experience.
Yes, it's quick and easy and no point faking. I think that I lost my train of thought. What the fuck did I say?
You come a lot.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
You
won't. Maybe you'll come. Maybe you won't. If it is what it is.
Again, that's the last thought I'll leave you guys with. I thought the movie was punk as fuck, and I enjoyed the swings they took. I like that aspect of it. I thought the execution.
But don't let that. But when you say that, don't let that. When you say it's punk as fuck, don't say it like, because then people are gonna be like, "What do you mean?"
I mean that like it's.
Did he wear a fucking mask for COVID?
I mean, it's ballsy and it's moody and Did you get a Drive essence a couple times? Just a little bit? Just a little bit?
Drive?
The movie Drive? Like with a
Oh,
couple
I
of
don't know
little
about
scenes?
that.
I got a little bit of
Oh,
that.
you about the motorcycle scene?
Yeah. A little bit of that kind of thing.
maybe.
Yeah, like...
If College Hero played, I'd be like, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I actually like the character work that was going on. I like Corey a lot. And so, like, at the end of the day, like... If you want this movie to be a solid wrap up to this trilogy, and even more so, a solid, super satisfying wrap up in your mind, if this is the last Michael Myers movie, you will be disappointed.
That's true.
Because they leave stuff to be. But as a one movie, as a single movie, as a just a piece of the Halloween franchise, as a piece of the lore of Michael Myers, I thought it was a fucking solid entry as far as that goes.
Yeah, and you're being fair. 7.5 and 6.5.
Yeah.
Those are still good scores, man. Those aren't bad scores at all.
And so much to talk about.
Yeah, there's no way that you're gonna get, like, you know, you can rate it whatever you want, but if somebody rates this at 2.0, you're gonna tell me that it's on literally the same level as Halloween Resurrection, or you're gonna say it's on the same level
Personal
after
choice.
the 35 minutes of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Or Halloween
So-
5? You're gonna say it's comparable?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's better. It's
It's better than at least 3 of those.
I have no idea where to rank it in my brain right now as far as the other movie goes because it's so different. But that's probably my favorite part of this movie. It is so different from all the other Halloween movies that it's going to cause conversation. There's a lot of stuff to dig into it. There's a lot of friend talk after the movie between your friends. What do you think this meant? What was going on here? They just build on the lore of Michael Myers in some really cool fucking ways.
It is definitely a conversation starter. It's
Yeah.
one of those water cooler movies, and that's what's cool about it because it does have those conversations that can be had. But again, maybe we're only giving it a 6.5 and a 7.5, and those are higher scores than the majority of people might be giving it because we're paid by Blumhouse, you assholes.
It's true. That's why they.
God, Blumhouse loves us. Don't you know we live in their house?
No, it's true. It's true.
No, we really don't. We get nothing from them.
No.
So this is an honest to God look. If the movie was pure dog shit, if they did some shit like Rob Zombie, I'd be taking a dump on it along with all of you. We'd all be taking dumps on it together and taking pictures of it.
I'm actually find myself in the position where I'm very happy that Blumhouse has ignored us over the past 4 years.
So there's no favoritism there.
Because then you can't say I like that. You can't get that argument. That's not the
So
case.
it's like, oh, your pimp might not like you talking outside of school.
Exactly.
Like, no, we don't have no pimps.
Exactly. By the way, last thing, I thought the cast was amazing. I
were.
thought the special effects again were fucking amazing, and you're gonna get some great kills and stuff like that in it. That's our review of Halloween Ends. But there's there's so
There's
much
a
to
lot.
fuck. In the scope of this movie, we just took one bite off a glazed donut in a fucking pack of a dozen. There was so much shit to wade through, and I hope you guys stick around, subscribe, all that shit, check it out, because all that shit's upcoming.
This anus hasn't even been explored yet. That's your prostate? No, we're just
I'm gonna
beginning.
get deep in
We're
there.
gonna get that magic school bus ride going.
I might taste it. We love your fucking faces. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video with us today and giving a fuck what we think about it. I hope you guys enjoy the movie. Comment down below with all your thoughts.
See you guys.
Let's have sex.
Okay.
In the butt.
Who's got the lube?
Promise?
Okay.
You said it.
Smell it.
So now you're gonna do it.
Okay.
All right.
I
I just want
not
you to
with
know
you.
that. No. Halloween never ends. Suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not. Yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking. Let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS. Cause Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, yeah.